When you have a bunch of uncreative people controlling a creative industry, it can work for a while, but eventually it's going to crash. And I cannot wait for it to crash and burn. I love it. I love watching the flames. I want to bask in that heat. And I want to make the types of movies that rock people's world like that. I want to be part of this new jazz cinema, the new wave. Yeah, let me in.
I see Hollywood definitely leaning more into the independent creative, like someone who can also come on board, partner with a studio, partner with an agent, partner with a management company, and bring new and innovative ideas, and also the creative, self-contained artistry that comes with being an artist that's multifaceted, multi-hyphenate.
I'm Kale with Cinestruct, and I'm here with Alex Bergman. I shared with you, Alex, when we were chatting about doing this last week, an article that has been making the rounds by Justine Bateman. And the title of the article is "Hollywood is Dead. This is What's Next." And I just wanted to read a quote from the article, and I wanted to get your response and reaction to it. So she writes in the article, "When you bring together those filmmakers who are doing things to differentiate their work along with what audiences will want, you're going to have the birth of the most incredible creative genres ever known. It will be new to us in the way jazz or rock and roll were new at the time, or the French New Wave films were back then. However, this will not be a return to anything from the past, but be something entirely new, just the new." What's your response to that?
Absolutely right. I mean, it's rather vague, and waves do come always. I think we are at the precipice of a change, both with Hollywood's model collapsing, the slow but sure death of the surefire hit when it comes to superhero movies and sequels and all that stuff. They're still making money, but more and more they are risky. So little movies come in like Terrifier and they make a ton of money. Everyone pretends they're shocked, but they're not actually shocked. The people want original, hard-hitting, raw, unprecedented material, just like we got out of the New Wave in France many years ago. And you can't keep feeding adults baby food for their entire lives. Eventually they want to go out and try some shit that tastes weird. Even if they don't like it at first, they're going to feel something that they didn't feel before. I love what Bateman's saying. I love her unabashed hate of AI. There's plenty of applications where AI is actually great, to be honest. Especially as an independent, low-budget filmmaker. There's things you can do that you just couldn't do before. You just could not do, and your movie would have to go out without that shot or that cleaned-up sound or whatever that you can do with AI. So there is a democratization of the medium, and I think AI may even be a part of helping that new wave, where someone can go out and make a no-budget superhero or whatever the hell movie that clicks those same boxes that Disney or whoever was clicking, but tells it in an original, shocking, interesting way. So while Bateman's right about some things, I think she's a little bit of Luddite when it comes to AI. I love her to death, and I love how vocal she is about it. Yeah, but I don't think it's all about AI. I think what her thing is about shit just getting regurgitated to death.
Yeah.
The AI she doesn't like is generative AI. It's creating an image from a million other images, and there's nothing new. It's just a nifty trick. But yeah, listen. The new wave is happening. We're kind of watching it. Look at Sean Baker and what he's doing with Anora. I mean, that movie should have made a lot more money, but he's making cool, interesting, gritty indie movies that are fun. Anyone goes out and sees Anora, they're gonna have a good time. It's
Yeah.
not a sequel. It's a purely original idea, and you know, he says he's making movies for adults, but shit, anyone can go and enjoy Anora. A teenager can go and enjoy Anora because it's just interesting. It's different. It shows a side of life that often gets hindered and hidden by Hollywood. So, absolutely, Hollywood's fucked. Their model is fucked. They don't know what they're doing. You gotta, when you have a bunch of uncreative people controlling a creative industry, it can work for a while, but eventually it's going to crash. And I cannot wait for it to crash and burn. I love it. I love watching the flames. I want to bask in that heat. And I want to make the types of movies that rock people's world like that. I want to be part of this new jazz cinema, the new wave. Yeah, let me in.
Yeah. I definitely feel like we do see glimpses of what I would say filmmakers getting out of the groove of trying to imitate Hollywood and trying to find their own voice, because a lot of what I've seen over the years, and when you're learning about filmmaking, of course, the best way to learn is to watch a lot of stuff. And I think what happens, you watch something and then you try to imitate what worked and not just use it as a part of your influence. Because when it comes to creating anything, and in particular filmmaking, you know, you're taking, you know, references from all these different films that you've seen and different artwork that you've seen and stories that you've read, and you're putting it together to tell your own unique story. And in a lot of ways, what, in my opinion, what's happened with Hollywood over the years is in taking all those influences, you start to create these films that have this formula, and you stick to the formula instead of finding new influences to inform what's going to be created over time and into the future. And independent filmmakers, in particular when they're just getting started and trying to find their voice, there was a period of time, and I'm sure you remember this, Alex, when Christopher Nolan had his run of films with, you know, Batman and the Dark Knight Rises, and there was a period of time where aesthetically everybody had that aesthetic look that they wanted to apply to their films. And, you know, it's awesome to be inspired by, you know, what Christopher Nolan did with those films, but for a period of time it just seemed like, oh man, everything's starting to look like this. And I feel like we do have a new opportunity now where there is so much content that you can't break out by, you know, imitating the popular film. You have to break out by doing something so completely left field, like a Terrifier, that and you know, nobody would expect that Terrifier would be, you know, the hit movie that's beating out the Joker in terms of box office revenue in a lot of ways. But it is, and it's because it took a different approach and kind of had this really, really hyper focus on aesthetically, just like, how can I make this blood and gore horror be as interesting as possible? And in that way, audiences find something to latch onto that they're not getting with some of the bigger films that are coming out. So I think that's certainly something that to your point, that we're already seeing, and we're gonna continue seeing. The other thing, though, that I wanted to get your thought on was in thinking about AI, with the tools that are right now, something is that I've heard from filmmakers is that, it's very useful for like storyboarding and kind of getting, a visual to your concepts when you're in the early stage. In your opinion, do you think folks should be using it in that way in terms of like early stage, just getting started? Or do you think, you should kind of just put it aside altogether and try to like just have it in your head and try to take it from your head to the script to the screen? Or do you think AI helps throughout that process in terms of building out the aesthetic? What do you think?
It really depends. I hate to say it, but it's a case-by-case scenario. If it saves you time and enhances your vision, if it does both of those things, then use it. The problem is playing around with AI is not going to make your film good. You already have to have it in you. You have to do the work to get AI to do the work that you want it to look like. If you're going and asking AI to do it for you, your shit's just not going to be that good. That's a fact. If you already have it in your head and you just need to show enhanced storyboards to, you know what? I'm going to reel it back. Don't use it. It's stupid. It's not helpful.
Coming in hard and fast with this one.
If you're doing a commercial, okay, I just did a commercial. This is a great case study. And I wanted super clean boards to show the client through an animatic. Now, I had drawn them all out with my stick figures that look perfectly fine. But for the sake of this, I wanted to generate high-quality images that I could cut together in an animatic to show the client what we were doing and to, on the day, feel the flow. In that case, it was helpful. But for something actually creative, not a commercial, I feel like it can get in the way of doing the real work. You end up playing around on the computer instead of like talking to your actors or actually envisioning something. It can be a slippery slope towards getting nothing done. And I generally don't think it's that applicable for pre-production. You can write your script without AI. Don't use AI to write your script. It's really easy. It's easier than trying to get something good out of a computer that fits with the voice of your soul. And then for storyboards, just do stick figures and doodles. That's all you need. But for post, there's lots of applications. They come in. It can come in handy. But that's all. I think that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I think one of the use cases I've heard, at least in terms of post, how it's actually, I think, rapidly being considered for now is localization. So if you made something, here in English and you want to send it to, a bunch of different countries and to a bunch of different languages, you just, feed in the talent's voice and have it translate. And, there's some software as well out there that will do the lip sync as well. I don't know how good it is at that stuff.
For pre-production, your brain and your soul and your heart, those are the important things. For post, you're fixing problems. So AI is open season for post when it comes to my type of work. You can just solve a lot of problems. Even as simple as there's a plane going by overhead, you can do AI voice isolation. It doesn't even say it's AI, but it is. And this type of tool wasn't available 3 years ago, and now it is. And it's like, it's game changer. When it comes to voices too, like, I mean, this crosses the boundaries into ethics, but this same commercial I recently did, there were some line readings by the actors, because they weren't actually actors, that were just a little dodgy. So I was able to clone their voice and do my own line reading. I read it like I wanted to hear it.
Wow.
And then their voice said it, and it got the commercial greenlit. Now, ethically dodgy, I mean, if you don't tell the actors that you're doing that. As long as the actors think it's okay. In this case, they weren't actually actors, so I'm sure all the help they could get was preferable. If I did that to a real actor, they would, I mean, like Justine Bateman, for instance, she would probably have me burned on a pyre.
I like the distinction that you make there between considering, and we're going to move on from AI in just a sec, but
Yeah.
it's so interesting to me. So I love talking about it. But the distinction between using AI for, commercial work, for just stuff for the money, for companies that are just trying to promote their stuff, versus using it for, a narrative work where for art. Yeah, exactly. We're trying to tell a story, and trying to tell a story that moves people.
Yeah.
That inauthenticity that you can get from using some of these AI tools, is it worth it? Is it worth it to lose some of that magic? I think that's an interesting distinction.
Yeah. I mean, it's a total moral gray zone, and it's just going to get weirder and weirder. I don't know where I stand on it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I hope that Justine is right. I hope that
She's right.
I'm really crossing my fingers. I get a little bit discouraged when I see just how much younger people just consume everything through the lens of, social media, TikTok, and
You know what? We've always been complaining about younger people. We used to be those younger people that people would complain about because we were watching stupid shit. You know what? Fuck the kids. Like, eventually they grow up and need grown-up material. Like, you can't stay a kid forever. So I was saying the same thing about Disney. It's like, cool. So glad I got Deadpool and Wolverine, but like, I can't watch that every night. I need something interesting. I'm getting older. My tastes are expanding. I can't be spoon-fed the same baby food every night. So younger people grow up. Yeah, they look at TikTok all day long right now, but eventually, I'm sorry, there's a valve in the human brain. Like 5 million years of evolution have not crashed to a halt because of TikTok, and suddenly people have the attention span of a goldfish. It's fun, it's interesting, it's fresh, it's new. You can slam your dopamine receptors all day long, but eventually it shuts off and you're like, this doesn't feel good anymore. I need something else. So as these TikTok kids grow up, and as all of us old people complaining about the young kids, I don't know what I'm saying with this, but it's all going to come to a place where we are all starting to get fed fresh material. What she's talking about hasn't happened since the 70s.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The 70s were essentially... Hollywood was making Hollywood movies through the 50s and 60s. And, the same year you have Rock Hudson and Doris Day playing all cutesy on the telephone, you have Europe releasing like weird softcore porno art movies. And then the hippie movement came in, and Americans were like, all right, we need to see some grown-up shit. Like we can't be coddled anymore. So all throughout the 70s, you had these hard-hitting, fresh adult movies where most of the time, like, the main character gets killed or doesn't get the girl, or the ending's sad because it reflected the audience's life at the time. Like, shit wasn't good. We were in Vietnam, and you can't show us the same old happy endings anymore. Happy endings died. Likable characters died. Like, this is a broader thing, but we got to stop saving the cat. It's over. Even indie filmmakers will argue that the main character is not likable, but like, we need more movies with unlikable characters who die in the end. Like, we just got to start bashing the heads of the audiences with some real deal shit, because eventually they're going to realize that is more interesting, it is more reflective of life, and it's something you can get behind because it lingers within your soul. It's not just everything's okay. No, everything's not okay. People are realizing it. You can watch the fall of Gaza on TikTok and realize not everything's okay.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope that we start to see not just a trickle, but a wave of these new kinds of stories. Because, we do see them every year. And I think a big issue is that these films aren't promoted as much as they should be, so audiences don't discover them. But I'm hoping that you and Justine are right. We have this program that's kicking off on November 13th through December 3rd. And our program is all about supporting filmmakers who have new films. You can pledge to these filmmakers if you want to give them like a monetary contribution. You can engage with them. We have a couple events where you can actually chat with the filmmakers and their cast and crew. We have some perks associated with that. So when you engage with these filmmakers, chat with them, or you make a contribution to them, we have a giveaway prize to a film festival of your choice if you're the winner. So that's a $500 prize that you get, and 2 tickets with one of our partner festivals. One of the festivals actually that we have partnered with it's Mountain Film out of Colorado. They're actually a really nice festival and a really great time. So we're really excited about partnering with them. Along with that, we also have something called a matching pledge grant. That's also a perk for the filmmakers in a way that you can double up the support that you can provide to the filmmakers. So when you support the filmmakers, Cinestruct will match the amount that you pledge at the base sponsor level through our platform. And if you're a filmmaker yourself and you have something new and you want to take advantage of some of the things that we're doing, just connect with us. We're on Instagram at Cinestruct Media, so connect with us to learn how you can potentially be involved in one of our next cycles that are coming up. So I wanted to get that boring stuff out of the way so we can jump into the conversation. We had a few questions for them talking about the industry at large. The first question was about funding, of course. How are you funding your stuff? So we wanted to kick it off with that and getting their insight. But before I jump into their thoughts on funding and how they were able to fund their films, I wanted to start with you, Alex, because again, you just wrapped up your feature and, you did your short Blind Stitch. So I wanted to, get your initial thoughts on how independent filmmakers, should be thinking about funding, your experience with getting your stuff funded as well.
I highly recommend having rich parents, which I do not have. But if you can have rich parents or be a Nepo baby, you're probably going to be in a lot better shape.
That's the golden ticket.
Yeah. Other than that, you know the answer for funding. It's beg, borrow, and steal. It's max out your credit cards. It's asking everybody you know for a couple bucks. It's a really hard game. There's no magic bullet when it comes to funding. It's always different. Some of you might get really lucky and you know a rich person who, wants to make a movie or wants to make a short film and doesn't care because it's a write-off for them. There's no one way to go about it, but I recommend no matter what is spending as little as humanly possible. You think you need X amount? Well, can you do it for half? Okay, can you do it for half of that? The less you spend, the higher your return of investment is going to be. Even if your return of investment on indies is generally 0. You're just going to improve your ratio.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it was like my producer would show a rough cut of our movie. We started out with a little bit. I mean, that's what you got to do. Start out with a little bit if you want to make a movie. Start out with 10 grand. Start shooting. Hey, everybody, we're shooting. Oh, you're shooting? Like, you're not ready. Oh, no, we're ready. We're shooting. Start getting some stuff in the can. Start showing some people. They're like, oh my God, you're making it's happening. Can I put in some money? And it snowballs. You get friends, you get family, you get people with real jobs and real lives who don't mind being attached to a piece of art. They know they might not make their money back. They have a dream that the movie will be a big hit, and you want to perpetuate that dream that this is going to be a breakout and they're going to triple their money. You're lying, but you believe it in the moment. And I don't know, that's how you go about it for the smaller stuff. Or get rich parents.
Well, rich parents are always going to be, well, I guess not just in filmmaking, right? But in any area, having wealthy parents is going to give you a leg up.
It's never too late to be adopted.
Let's see if I can get adopted by somebody that wants to give me several $1 million to make something. Okay, so I want to share some of these filmmakers' thoughts. So we're going to kick it off first with Tedra. And on the other side, we're going to do like a short discussion about what she had to say.
I want to start by saying making a film and self-funding is always a challenge, or just securing financing for your project. My doc series, Denim, which is a fantastical series of short films that illuminate the brilliant minds of LGBTQIA+ creatives, was funded through the Become an America Pop Culture Collab Grant. I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to, allow these funds to help me with this ideation of what I see as a bigger picture, which is a narrative about queer people being celebrated in the entertainment industry. My previous projects have also been funded by grants, and I'm a big advocate for self-funding and just looking into alternative sources that will help you achieve your goals and your visions when you do have an idea that comes to mind. I'm really grateful that there are grants out there that support the work that I'm doing, the work to create conversations and platforms that expand the representation of LGBTQIA+ creatives and voices.
Yeah, do that. If your material aligns with what these grants are looking for, then yeah, do that. They're typically, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're typically documentary based. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
tougher
typically
if,
the case.
it's a lot tougher if you're a narrative filmmaker. But if you're doing docs, like, there is grant money out there. It's extremely competitive. You probably won't win the grant. Let's just say that to make you less hopeful. But you should still go out for it, because look at Denim. Denim is awesome. Like, they got it funded through a grant. It's exactly the type of stuff we need right now. So there are options like that. Highly recommend grants.
Yeah. My thought with grants as well, and you said it exactly right. The grant funding, typically it's for very specific initiatives, and it's for docs in particular. And I do think for filmmakers, even if your focus is just on fiction and just, doing narrative fiction, I think if as a filmmaker you have a unique aesthetic to what you do, or a unique voice, I think if you're just wanting to make stuff to just like get that muscle, you got to keep your creative muscle trained, right? And if it means like, hey, there's this grant for, something that has to be a documentary, if it's something that can get the muscles going, maybe I use that apply for that grant and hopefully get it, and do this doc, and maybe it opens up doors to other opportunities, maybe with some of the folks that are, that provided that grant, or other opportunities, because, it's all about, making different connections as you're moving along. I think if more filmmakers kind of looked at those opportunities and say, hey, this grant isn't the story that I want to tell right now. It's not for the story that I want to tell right now, but maybe I can use it as a pathway. I think that's an interesting way to look at it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, always be shooting something. It takes so long shooting's the easy part. It takes so long in post to complete projects that you always need something in the pipeline. And this, I don't have anything in the pipeline right now, and it makes me so anxious because it takes forever. But yeah, there's a lot of good opportunities out there. I'm inspired now to go seek out some documentary grants. I want that money.
Oh yeah, we all do. So next up, I want to play Keshav's response about the funding question.
For funding for Where You Really From, actually I had to get most of the funding from working my part-time job. I work in the hospital, and I was really passionate about this film. So with projects in the past, I've done Kickstarters, and I have waited around for funding a little bit. But with this project, I kind of just wanted to get it made, because I know how long crowdfunding and other sources can take. So I spent about I spent about 2 years kind of just saving up on the weekends and putting that money together. So I just decided to pour all of that money into the film. It's something that I felt that I was going to make regardless of getting any funding whatsoever. So, and even after the production, it was raising the money for post-production, or even paying back the people from production kind of post-production dates. So it was very much, self-funded. I wouldn't recommend that. And I probably wouldn't do that for every single film. I think the next film I've got is, we've got a couple of exec producers on board. They've watched the last couple of films. They're really interested in it. So I think it's kind of paid off already, because it means that I've been able to gain traction and been able to carry on making films, which is what we all want to do. So
self-funding. It
Great.
sounds very expensive, right?
Yeah. It is a terrible idea, yet also the only choice when it comes to especially short films that are not documentaries funded by grants. when I said to fund your feature, you can go ask other people for money. You can't really do the same thing with shorts because you're essentially, they know they're not going to make any money back. There's no money in shorts. Shorts are a calling card for your future. As he said, it got other EPs interested in his feature or whatever. Speaking from experience, my short film, Blind Stitch, it cost me money. I put out the dough. I actually, in this case, it was when there were all these COVID business grants. And so I signed up for a COVID business grant, and loan. I signed up for a COVID business loan, and I got the dough to make the film, and I spent a lot of money on my short that I have to pay back with interest over the upcoming years. But it was worth it because anyone who watched my short, they were down to help me make my feature. From producers down to the crew, I was able to line up a team, and they knew that we were going to do something special because the short turned out so great. So shorts are awesome for that. They're absolutely essential stepping stone for your career. I wish you could just jump straight to a feature, but most people can't. Most people don't have the acumen, the ability to pull together a feature without first having jumped through that hoop of making a short. You just learn so much. So good for him.
And to make a good feature too, I think a lot of people can make a feature, but to make a good feature, you really need to practice with getting a couple shorts under your belt.
Yeah, there's no commercial or music video or industrial film that is going to lead to you making a good feature film. It's just not the practice. It's not going to get you there. Or you can go straight to a feature, but you're probably going to spend an extra year in the editing room and reshooting and all this stuff to try to make it good.
Yeah. There was one interesting thing about Keshav. So he mentioned it briefly in his response. So he's a medical doctor. He's actually an emergency room doctor. So on the weekends, he's in the emergency room dealing with patients and, trying to save lives. And in the remaining time, he's going to make movies, which is what his true passion is. That's so interesting to me, like that, you have to save lives to make your movie, it's just like this interesting dichotomy.
Yeah, I highly recommend, if you want to steel yourself for the rigors of filmmaking, is become an emergency room doctor. It just makes things so much smoother when you're on set and no one's dying.
Yeah. Super, super interesting, his story and his background and his resiliency, quite frankly, in filmmaking. Okay, so the other thing that we wanted to talk to these filmmakers about was their challenges as it relates to filmmaking right now, in particular for independent and emerging filmmakers. We talked a little bit about the industry earlier and everything that's going on with the industry, but we wanted to hear from them what they saw as being like the primary challenges that they have. So before we jump into it, and while I'm getting the videos ready, so Alex, you've done Blind Stitch, you did Lies Without a Face. As a filmmaker, what are the biggest challenges that you see right now?
Right now, in this current space, the biggest challenges are distribution and marketing. I recommend everybody who wants to make a film go out and make a film. It's really important. However, that's just one small piece of the puzzle. In order to get your film seen, that's the true challenge, and that's the real job of a filmmaker. You gotta hustle, you gotta push, you gotta meet people, you gotta know people, you got to advertise and market. You can't allow your film to rest on its laurels. I like to say talent and $3 will get you a subway ticket. Because talent's great. You know, when we're selling, we want to be selling something of quality. It helps. But a good salesman can sell crap. It's why we see a lot of bad movies, is because the movie may be bad, but there was a good salesman getting it out there. So I implore any filmmaker to, once they make their movie, or even before that, take really seriously marketing and advertising, getting themselves known in the filmmaking world, reaching out to people, being a cool person. Do anything you possibly can to create a lane for your film to walk down.
Sage advice. Nobody thinks about marketing and distribution. At least a lot of creative people don't.
I never, ever, ever did. But now I have no choice. Because if I want people to see my movie, I gotta hustle. I gotta let people know that I'm out here making movies. And one of them is a terrific little horror movie that people should see.
Yes.
That's all I can do.
Yes. And I actually do think filmmakers are coming around to this, like, hey, you gotta market, you have to do distribution, you have to start way earlier than you think you should. Like,
I mean, there's a lot of people who are really do great on social media. I was not one of those people. I always thought it was lame. But now I'm on social media because I have no choice. I look at it differently now. 20, 30 years ago, if I was a struggling filmmaker and you offered me a free platform like Instagram or YouTube where I can go get known just by posting a picture or whatever, like, I would be jumping at that chance. We all would have been. And now that it's our obligation to post, to be a known entity, it seems like a drag, but it's all we got. And it's a cool platform. It's a place to stand on. It's a place to fly your flag.
These days, it's a part of the job. It really is a part of the job now.
I mean, back in the day, you would just be screwed. You would have nothing.
Yeah. So that's a positive spin. So it's a challenge, but the other side of it is you have platforms now where you don't have as many gatekeepers. It's a ton of work. Let me tell you. With what we're doing with Cinestruct and the debut program, it's largely a marketing program that we have for filmmakers,
right.
And I mean it's an insane amount of work, but the other side of it is that we're finding people that are interested in film, that are interested in these stories, that are interested in these filmmakers, and in that way it all kind of pays off because again, you don't need those gatekeepers to that you have to convince to tell those stories for you. You can tell the story yourself. So,
yeah, it's very special. And anyone who's ahead of us on that curve, who knows how to play social media, who knows how to just talk to people, like, you're killing it. Go make a movie and you're gonna do great.
Yeah.
And for me, I learned to love it. You know, I like rolling a camera. So if I can sit on my couch and roll a camera and talk to a camera, like I feel like I'm doing something. I feel like I'm making a film in a way. It just keeps the gears turning. It can actually be quite enjoyable if you can pivot your mind to look at it as a creative activity. Then it's all part and parcel of being a filmmaker and filmmaking.
Yeah. So, on the topic of social media, one filmmaker that is really good at sharing her work through social media, and she uses it to build an audience, that's Tedra. And we'll hear what she has to say about her challenges that she finds as a filmmaker.
I'm sure a lot of filmmakers who didn't get education around filmmaking, self-trained, come from a grassroots DIY background, have faced a lot of challenges navigating Hollywood. One of the things that I feel Hollywood presents is a very click-based or, notoriety-based atmosphere, especially if you're new, trying to break into the Hollywood space. A lot of people are more inclined to hire you as a director or creative if you have an extended background in working on productions. But a lot of times those challenges also come with who you know. So if you know someone who's willing to give you an opportunity, most likely you'll be able to get staffed on a project. I learned very quickly through my journey that working in Hollywood is all about building relationships. It's a little bit more of a journey in some instances if you don't know anybody. And that's some of the challenges that I face. And of course, being Black and being a woman, and you're not always afforded the same opportunities as your male counterparts. So it's tricky. It gets tricky navigating Hollywood, but you'll find your way as long as you stay determined and have that persistence and that endurance in what you want to do.
I think the biggest challenge is having that drive and motivation to keep telling stories, because no one is going to write you a check for anything, and no one's going to say, hey, you've got a semi-good cooked idea and I'm just going to give you like 10 grand or 20 grand to make it. So I think the biggest challenge is having the story that you're so passionate about that you will do anything to make it. And I think that's where it should probably come from as well. So if you have ideas which are okay and maybe you've thought about them a little bit, they won't really run their course, because I think the idea will fizzle out, or things will get in the way, and a lot of things will get in the way. And for you to be able to make that film, you really need to back it 100% and really believe in it. And I think I would say that at this level, it's just about focusing on the story you want to tell and making sure that you're 100% behind the story that you want to tell, and you can really see it really clearly.
The biggest challenge for people at the stage in their career where I'm at, I think, is just finding a way to keep your head above water. And I mean that, logistically, in the real world sense of like paying bills and having health insurance. If you have kids, taking care of your kids, whatever, like you need to be able to survive in the world, and also in a mental health way. I think it is very easy to let the fear of failure or the imposter syndrome or whatever set in, especially if you've been at this for a few years. And for a lot of people, it takes a decade before they have their break, and that's crushing for a lot of people. And I think I don't know what the answer is for maintaining. I think it's different for everybody, and you just gotta find a way to keep your sanity and hold on to that and continue, writing, directing, creating, what have you.
So lots of different thoughts there. I guess to start, I thought Tedra's answer was interesting, because I think a lot of young creatives, and we both, you, Alex, and I, we both live in Los Angeles. And there's Los Angeles, the place, and then there's Los Angeles, the filmmaking community. And I think the challenge of figuring out how to navigate the filmmaking community and what Tedra spoke to, it is a huge challenge, trying to get into those, in networks, there's tends to be somewhat of a cliquey culture in Hollywood. What are your thoughts on that and how she relayed that in terms of her challenges that she finds, as she tries to build up her career?
Tedra is not afraid to do the work of meeting people, talking to people, creating a network, getting to know people, utilizing the vast network of people who are available here in Hollywood. Everyone always likes to talk about Hollywood like it's some cliquey in thing where you gotta like hustle and bustle. Actually, there's just a lot of cool, normal people who are just trying to make movies. They're scrappy. They're down for anything. For every high-powered executive we imagine greenlighting the next sequel, there's a dozen filmmakers who are out there doing cool work and looking to connect with other like-minded filmmakers. Hollywood is what we make it. To go back to Justine Bateman's thing, like, these dinosaurs are going to die out and it's going to be you and me and these other filmmakers we're working with who are changing the game and telling their stories in unbridled ways that they couldn't before. So I love that Tedra said, if you approach the right people, you can get staffed. Like, that gives me hope. I want to get staffed. Like, it's out there. Just don't be a weirdo. Don't come with your preconceived notions. Don't come with your preconceived notions about how, it's like everyone's too cool for school and no one likes you and this and that. Like, nah. Just be a cool person and do your cool thing, and the sun will shine upon it eventually, as long as you bring it out there into the light.
Yeah, and I do think it does take that go-getter personality that we do see from Tedra, that that says, hey, hey, what are you doing? Can I jump in there?
Yeah, I mean, we can sit and complain about how no one's showing up to our rescue and we're just not accepted in this society, or Hollywood doesn't want us. That's all. It's just all a bunch of preconceived notions and inner pain that we need to work through. There's just like I said, for every one asshole, there's 10 cool people trying to do cool stuff. Find them, find your people. You're going to find a lot of people that aren't your people. You're going to find a lot of people that are your people. Go to them. It's just like dating, Find your people, do your thing. Everything's going to be relatively great.
Keshav and Alessandro, their responses were somewhat unique because Alessandro spoke to this, oh man, I just got to keep going. How can I keep going? And the challenge to just keep making the stuff, because it is a challenging industry. Having that motivation.
I love Alessandro's answer, which is basically don't die. Just don't go crazy. Have patience. Patience is like, if you have patience, you're going to make it. If you don't have patience, you're going to go crazy and you're eventually going to look for a way out of this industry. The people that make it are the tortoises, not the hares. You can jump out of the gate real hot, but eventually you're going to slow down And some people even crash when they come too hot out of the gate. You got to pace yourself. It's not a race. It's not even a marathon. It's a existence. So I love his answer. It's like, just keep it going. I had a friend who's an executive at Sony, and he said, you know, man, stick with it. When I came out here, there were 10,000 graduates, you know, all flocking to Hollywood, and I came here with 10,000 other graduates. 5 years later, there were 1,000. Now, 15 years later, it's a couple hundred people. And I work with all of those people. It's because they don't come looking for gold. You know, this is not a get rich quick scheme. You gotta come as a lifer. If you're not willing and available to be a lifer, I'm sorry, you're just not gonna make it.
I think that kind of speaks a little bit to what Keshav said in terms of having that full commitment. And he was speaking in the context of, you know, working on a specific project, but also you can extrapolate that to how you approach your career, just having that full commitment and the challenge of getting to the place of fully committing to saying, I'm going to make this project as best that it can be. I'm going to, you know, keep it going so I can push my career forward. I think a lot of filmmakers, I can speak to it from my experience. There's a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of, you know, you question yourself a lot. There's a lot of, you know, thinking that, you know, oh my God, I'm a faker and stuff like that. And you have to be so fully committed and to be able to make it.
I mean, all that is part of your daily internal monologue. But, you know, it's just bullshit. It's masturbatory to think of yourself as a faker or this or that or a failure or any of that stuff. Honestly, it's ego-driven. It's wanting to be accepted and perceived with greatness, but it just doesn't belong in actually sitting down and doing the work. I mean, if you're a plumbing, do you say, oh, I don't belong here. I shouldn't be fitting pipes together. I'm just faking it. Like, no, you put the pipes together. That's what we're doing. You know, there's always a worse filmmaker than you. There's always leagues of worse filmmakers than you. And to put a button on that, there's always a much worse filmmaker than you making a killing, doing great, making multi-million-dollar movies. So getting over yourself is the biggest thing you can do. I mean, as I get older, I I ran out of fucks to give. I just don't care anymore. I ran out of time to sit and stew and feel sorry for myself and this and that. It's like, I just don't have the time. It's over. I just do my thing. Survive, like Alessandro said, like just figure out a way to get to the next rent check. As long as you can pay your rent and eat, then you're gonna make it. You're gonna do okay. Figure that out. I know it's hard, especially with the industry the way it is, but find ways to make enough money to survive. Be okay with surviving and not thriving. Eventually you'll thrive.
That's a good takeaway. Actually, my takeaway, and I'm going to keep this one in my back pocket whenever I'm feeling down, there's always a filmmaker that's worse than you.
Always. Somebody who's killing it.
Yeah.
And you can look at it and be like, oh, they're doing so great and I'm not, and I quit. No. Don't look at it that way. Look at it, if that asshole can do that, then I'm gonna be fine. I just gotta stick with it. And learn lessons from them. If you did what they were doing, you would be doing better than them.
That's a great way to think about it. So, in the last set of questions that we had for the filmmakers, we wanted them to talk about how they saw the industry. And this is something that we've kind of been talking about this whole time, you know, starting with Justin Bateman's article and some of the insights that she had and, you know, some of the insights that you have. So in terms of how they see the industry and how they see, how they perceive it overall, that's the final kind of set of questions that we had for them.
I think that's quite a tricky question because I'm not someone who's been in the industry for too long. I've kind of been making films for the last 4 years, and I feel like I've had to really carve it out for myself. And even working as an actor, I have an agent. It's very tricky to really put yourself out there as a British Indian person or someone of color. And I think that is changing. The field and the demographic of people that you see on screen is changing. But I think it's tricky to find your space in the whole industry. And I guess that's why we're here, right? We want to make films that are different, and we want to tell a story that's authentic to someone who looks like me.
My view of the film and television industry right now is that there's a new wave of talent being ushered in. Whether you're a talent that has representation or an agent, or whether you are an independent creative that is able to connect directly to your fans, your demographic, or your consumers, I see Hollywood shifting in that way where it is evening the parallels of how we intersect. For example, I am an independent filmmaker. I don't have an agent. I don't have a manager, but I've been in positions where I've had those opportunities to build with very reputable companies, brands, partnerships, and that has helped me to connect with networks as a filmmaker, with distribution companies. Also navigating film festivals has been very helpful for me. So I see Hollywood definitely leaning more into the independent creative, like someone who can also come on board, partner with a studio, partner with an agent, partner with a management company, and bring new and innovative ideas, and also the creative self-contained artistry that comes with being an artist that's multifaceted, multi-hyphenate. Like, you're able to not only present ideas, but actually execute them. It's moving in the direction where we're going to be now seeing more of the independent creatives who are not necessarily being fueled by a larger machine to have those same opportunities as someone who does have an agent with a UTA or CAA or anybody that's kind of plugged in. So that's why I see Hollywood going, and I love it for me because it still gives me the freedom of my creativity, but also still being able to connect and build relationships with the people who are kind of in those higher up executive level positions. And I think that's a great and happy medium for me.
Well, I'm certainly not an expert, and I wouldn't deign to guess where the industry is going to be in 5 years or 1 year or even 6 months. And I definitely wouldn't say it's in a positive place. I think if you are just starting your career, if you're unrepresented, then it's probably a more positive situation than if you've been in the industry for a while. Unfortunately, I think that a lot of people have taken a step back and or left the industry entirely, but that is going to create some sort of a vacuum for younger filmmakers to step in and get their shot.
So you can kind of see the thread there with all the answers. And I didn't expect this when we got their responses back, and even a lot of stuff that you've been saying. There is an optimism in the independent community right now for filmmaking that I don't know that I've seen before, to be honest with you, where people feel emboldened because in a lot of ways, what what you would call the industry or Hollywood is doing isn't necessarily panning out for at least their projections and what they have in mind. But at the independent level, we're seeing that folks are looking at it as an opportunity. They see it in a lot of ways, in some cases as progress. What do you think?
I mean, I think you have no choice but to be optimistic. But there is a tidal shift coming where Hollywood has gotten themselves into quite a kerfuffle where it comes to getting into bed with tech and essentially losing billions of dollars in order to propagate a model that does not work for them. I'm talking about the streaming model. Yes, it entices shareholders up to a point, but when you're giving away $100 of material a month for $9.99, eventually you're going to reap what you sow. So this has democratized the medium for independent filmmakers to step in, to do their thing, to fuck shit up. Like, that's the most important thing of all, is fucking shit up. We gotta just burn it down. We gotta dance in the flame, and we gotta have fun. We gotta do the wrong things. And we can band together to create a new Hollywood. YouTube, for instance, has just revealed that they're not only setting up a TV model where essentially you can put your material on on YouTube and separate it into seasons, episodes, shows. It's all going to be laid out in a way that we're used to with Netflix and all that other stuff. YouTube's like the highest viewed streaming platform in the world. I mean, they're the sleeping giant. Now that they're setting this type of stuff up, people can go people have been making their TV shows, but now you can lay it out in a way and it'll get promoted in a way where it's an actual TV show with episodes, and audiences are going to go to that. Not only that, YouTube has been leaking the information. I just read this morning, that they are looking to buy up a studio. So they're about to get an influx of, I don't want to say content. They're about to get a library of material that will start competing with the Netflixes, with all those other assholes who have shat on the industry creating a tech model. YouTube's about to come sweep the floor with the whole thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like they've been playing the long game by setting up this infrastructure. What does that mean for independent filmmakers? It means that your indie thing might suddenly have a platform that it didn't have before. You don't have to sell your movie to Netflix, where it's going to get buried anyway, if you can even sell it to them. You can be on YouTube and you can get seen by a lot of people because YouTube is going to be promoting that sort of thing. You're just going to see a lot more punk rock indie stuff getting elevated. And audience tastes are going to change to be more sophisticated to allow this type of stuff. And the old models are just not going to work the same way they used to in terms of Hollywood storytelling. So I'm super optimistic, especially now that the great behemoth of the Marvel movie, superhero movie, has been felled. They're just not, they're not bankable in the same. Yeah, when the Marvels loses $500 million, when Joker loses $500 million, all those movies start becoming liabilities. I mean, I've watched the Marvel movies sweep for the last 15 years, since 2008 or 10, where that was what Hollywood was, which is just, I enjoy the movies, but it's bullshit. It's just pure bullshit. Thank God it's not working anymore, because now, like I said, the kids are growing up. We need new material to stimulate us rather than just being lulled into a boring complacency. So all of our filmmakers are so awesome. I love their perspectives. I love their films. I just like, all I want is to see success for them. I think we're all ushering in a new era, and we're getting together to become the voice of the future. There's no gatekeepers anymore. When Hollywood's looking to make bank, what do now? They look towards social media. They look towards what people actually want rather than what people are selling them. It's so cool. I'm happy. It's great.
It's really coming around to something new. And I love seeing the optimism. And part of the reason why I wanted to talk about Justine's article is because she really did key in on, what's around the corner in a lot of ways, and not looking at where we are now, where there's a lot of stress. I can say, living here in Los Angeles and, seeing a lot of people that are leaving the industry, there's a lot of uncertainty. But at the other side, and with meeting these filmmakers and seeing what they're doing and seeing their optimism, we're also seeing that people are still building, and there isn't something that's taken away the magic of wanting to tell a story through filmmaking. While the industry itself might be going through something right now, the magic of wanting to tell stories is still very much alive, and it's been exciting getting to know these filmmakers that are hustling, that are pushing it, that are trying new things, that are getting themselves out there. Really inspiring seeing all of that. So with that said, that was our discussion about the filmmakers. Alex, what else have you got going? I know you're making a ton of really awesome videos on YouTube, just sharing your experience and perspectives. What else do you have going on?
Oh, I need more? Is it not enough for you?
I want more. I want more from Alex Bergman. You have so many cool perspectives, man.
Well, so now I'm trying to figure out what movie to make next. I have a little mini stack of scripts. I'm dying to just go out and shoot something like ASAP. But I need to figure it out. And I don't know, there's like the lazy side of me where it's just rest on my laurels and sell my movie that I have already made, or go get the next one in the pipe. Really, I just need some actors for it, and I'll be ready to go.
All right.
And then, just trying to elevate my career, get my shit seen. It's a daily grind, but I love it.
Well, it's like what you said earlier. It's all about marketing. It's all about putting yourself out there. It's all about taking advantage of social media if you're an independent filmmaker, that's what it's all about.
And that's why I've been doing this YouTube series. It definitely scratches the itch of shooting stuff. And it also is my journal or my therapy. I'm able to come and talk about the industry and talk about what I'm working on, and it gets all those inner demons out and feels really good. And I'm going to start promoting my film, doing making ofs and interviewing the cast and crew. So I'm very excited to share that material over the coming months.
I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I'm sure the whole community that we're engaging with right now, the independent film community, is going to be shoveling that stuff, because it's really awesome stuff that you've got going on, and really, again, awesome perspectives that you have. So on my end, of course, we have the debut program. If you like the filmmakers that shared their perspectives, you can support them. Stay tuned to what we're doing on the Cinevite platform, on Instagram. We're doing a lot of cool stuff with these filmmakers. If you want to connect with them directly, you can do that as well. So Tedra, Keshav, Alessandro, and their wonderful films. I want you guys to learn about it. I want you guys to support them. And I want you guys to keep making movies. That's what we're all about, and we're all about helping filmmakers to get out there. So with that, Alex, thank you so much again for connecting with us, chatting, sharing all your awesome insights. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep making movies.
Hell yeah, no matter what.